You ready? Cool. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hey, Marcus.
Yo,
How's it going?
good, but I realize I'm not on camera. Hold on. There. Yeah. Oh no, they're way outside of my comfort zone at the moment, so I didn't feel so bad dropping. Yeah, I guess to everyone. Hasib, I believe, is still in the call.
Cool. Nice to see you. I guess other people should be joining. Yeah, that 10 limit is pretty annoying, but I think that's like a video requirement.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm late. Yeah, sorry, what?
I was gonna say nobody was really on video because dropping problems is always an issue.
Yeah,
People.
it's tough. Yeah, I was on the phone with my mother and didn't feel like uh, canceling at that time. But I'm happy that it seems like we have a good round of different people who could like just make sure the meetings run. And now it seems like we may have a lot of projects to talk about during them, which is nice. So.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna turn my camera off just for a moment.
Yeah, sure.
There. So I imagine. Wait, I'm not paying attention. Is there a? Maybe I should just tell Hasib. So it's all good, and
There.
Hey, Ozzy.
Hello. Oh, hi,
We're just,
everyone.
we're just having a really interesting discussion of the Facebook group.
Oh,
It's been quite long and productive, and we're discussing kind of what should go in the sidebar and getting like community input on that. So yeah, like JC just outlined kind of what he was understanding people were saying, which sounded really good to me. JC,
awesome.
I think the almost like a way to put it is like to phrase it as like, you know, if you're wanting to do this, then like click this one link. If you're wanting to do this, then if you're wanting to read more, then kind of click this other link, and doing it in that kind of more like clear format.
If there was an issue with character limits, I would say that kind of listing out just specific names of lots of different charities is probably something that could be cut in exchange for kind of more explanation and directing people towards places, because you don't even have links to those charities, because that would be
I
adding too many
totally, you
characters.
know, yeah, I totally agree with that. I also think on the character limit for like that and other things, like the list of Facebook groups, which I think is good. One option would be just to kind of like link to a place which has like longer lists. So maybe like link to an EA Wiki article would be a pretty natural thing.
There's definitely plans for a wiki article on both kind of EA organizations, list of them all, and for other charities that do work we approve of.
Okay, so the impression I'm getting is that the third point below actions could be lists, or I guess a list of lists for these relevant things. So is that something somebody can link me to if those things already exist, like a list of organizations or something like that I can just copy paste onto the description?
Sure, I guess I could do that, or yeah, I could do that, or I imagine Eric.
Yeah, I can put that as something to kind of make.
Yeah.
Should do that.
Yeah, maybe Eric can do that. Yeah.
You can give me that as an action point.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. And if we're doing well on time, I guess a natural next step would be if people think there should be alterations to the pinned post.
Yeah, that is a good next step.
Oh,
At least
taking
I'll take a look at that.
one step back, the if I do create those pages, the EA wiki isn't public yet, and other people can't register on it yet, so it's kind of a bit awkward. Would be a bit awkward to be linking to that.
It can wait. I think it can wait. Yeah, it can wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'll make that pre-launch, but not rush it through.
Okay, sounds great. And just let me know whenever that's ready to be added, and I'll make some sort of the best I can do in a temporary fashion.
Okay.
And just FYI, I'm assuming all of these things will be perfectly okay with other moderators. I don't see any reason why they would disagree. Usually, it's much more of an issue of nobody doing anything than of people disagreeing about what should be done. Just as an FYI.
Sure.
So, do people have thoughts on the pin post?
Yeah. How's it been decided historically?
I mean, these things are just people add to it whenever they have something new to add to it. There's no real system here.
Right. Yeah.
I
It's
see
okay.
that it seems cluttered.
I think it's okay. I guess it might more clearly point to. I think it could more clearly point to a sidebar. If we're putting like a list of lists and so on in the sidebar, I think that would be good.
Slightly deduplicate, but it kind of.
I think it's basically fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what it is, and then maybe a reference to this is what the content of the sidebar is.
Yeah.
Look to your right.
If you want more information, go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, one thing that, this pin post does exist for, although it's not used too much, is as an introduction thread. We actually get a lot of posts that we almost always don't approve that are just people trying to introduce themselves to the group. I think this is common in a lot of smaller Facebook groups.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to make that more prominent, that it's in, like, even just putting a title at the top that says introduction thread or something like that.
Yeah, that's actually quite a good idea. I think.
Good idea.
Right.
My question is about the sidebar again. Should the effective altruism wikia be linked in the sidebar?
I'm currently in process of moving over from that to one hosted on EA Hub. Could link to Wikia for now, but that's kind of in the next few weeks will be there instead.
All right.
Cool. Yeah. I hope people have found this discussion useful, and I hope you have too, JC. I think it's quite cool to get community involvement like this, and maybe if you're up for periodically checking in on Impact meetings, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I'll try to implement the things that we've talked about as best I can, and if people have further feedback from this point on, always feel free to send me a message. If there's enough feedback or a big point that's really interesting, and I feel the need to get a dozen people to give advice on it, maybe I'll present it at another meeting. But yeah, thanks you guys. I'll probably duck out of the meeting once we're finished with this point.
Yeah, do you want to stick around for the EA survey, which will be probably a 5-minute update?
Oh, sure. Do we want to do that next, or?
Well, I think it is next on the agenda. And then,
okay, perfect.
I should flag that. And then we have possibly, I think Peter Herford is trying to arrange in 2 weeks' time, I think, on the 24th or whatever, a kind of deep dive .impact meeting, which is just about the survey. So yeah, does anyone have any final points about the Facebook group? You can stick in the sidebar like a hat, you can just jump in. But assuming, unless anyone does that soon, I'll just start describing the survey. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but .impact runs a kind of annual survey, the EA survey. And the main update on, there's been a little bit of progress on this year's, and the main updates on that will all come in that other meeting which I referred to. Peter Herford will add a Facebook event and details for it. And just to kind of let you guys know, David Moss is going to be publishing 2 posts on the Facebook and EA forum, seeking like suggestions from the community. It's kind of it's like a community survey, and the first should be fairly soon. I don't know, JC, if David has replied to that email thread yet. Let me look at that. But anyway, look out for those threads, and like by all means, like make suggestions on extra questions or useful things for the EA survey could do there. And as always, if you have anything to say, just like stick a hat or stick a comment in the sidebar. We'll jump in if it's quiet. And I think that's it. The rest of it will be in that meeting in probably 2 weeks' time. So yeah, I don't know if you want to head off, JC. That's cool. It's been great to have you here.
Okay, yeah, good talking to everyone. Send me a message if you ever need anything like that. Take care, everyone, and have a nice day.
Oh, I see you. Thanks for coming.
The agenda is wearable EA. This is kind of fun. I don't know if you guys can see the pictures on the agenda.
It's a pretty great pictures.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. So, just to explain the paperclip one, I don't know if everyone's familiar with paperclips. People who are worried about artificial intelligence as an existential risk, I think just an example that they use to describe this rather than the thing that they stay up at night worrying about is a company builds an artificial intelligence. It's a paperclip making company, and they just task it to make as many paperclips as possible.
Okay.
And it runs away and like turns the whole universe into paperclips and boils down people's bones and extracts the metal to make paperclips. And so you'll see very little like cross, like no paperclip signs linking the paperclips. So it's like, yeah, it's the anti-paperclip ribbon. And Francel is eager for your feedback. So if anyone has feedback, we can at least like note it in here, and then she'll see it.
I like them. I would definitely wear one of the paperclip ones. I feel it'd be a good conversation starter.
I mean, it was just a bunch of paper clips. Huh. I don't know, I almost like, if it was just like against paper clips, I'd kind of expect it just to be one paper clip with a cross going through it. When there's like a little cross going through a chain of paper strips, paper clips doesn't look as intuitive to me. I'm not sure how you'd make that bracelet thing. Like, if it was just a bracelet of paper clips, I don't think anyone would get the point.
I would wear it just as a bracelet of paper clips, and then people would be like, why are you wearing paper clips? I can explain everything.
Huh. I feel like it'd have to be like a bracelet of paper clips with like big X's on it somehow. Some way to make it obvious it's like against the paper clips.
I'm curious, like, how many people would actually wear them besides Eric?
I mean, it was like kind of cool. I could imagine wearing that. Like, if you could figure out a way that would make it not just look like I decided to take a few paper clips and put it around my wrist, you know. If it looked like it was something.
I think the paperclip one is the cooler one. Yeah, I probably like poverty, but the paperclip one is definitely cooler.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, if you have any feedback, you can let Francel know or just comment in there. So then the next item is the EA Wiki. So yeah, Eric, do you want to run us through that? He's written in a bunch of updates, which I imagine it might be good for people to follow along with. As he's talking, but
first off, link to it. This is kind of work so far. I have installed MediaWikiSet, set up a bunch of extensions that wouldn't be available on Wikia, which we should make good use of. We can embed Google Documents and other Google things and hackpads within wiki pages.
Oh, shit.
So you should be able to edit just like beyond the wiki and then edit things that are on other sites.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Useful.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Cool. So we could, for example, have like a wiki page which would have a bunch of hackpad pages, and you'd be able to work on those without ever having to leave the wiki.
So we could like we may be able to move some of the .impact stuff to the wiki over time, right?
Yeah, but like as a stopgap, you can kind of leave everything as it is on the hackpad, and then just have that visible from the wiki as well until you want to move it over.
That's awesome.
a link for draft design, as in for embedding.
You're commenting about you have a design next. I don't know if there's a link you can share which shows what design you have or what skin you have.
Well, it's basically the one that's kind of on there currently is the skin, which is quite different from Wikipedia's. This is a normal media wiki.
Oh, you just shared the link in the sidebar. Sorry,
Yeah.
I missed that. Yeah,
Sorry.
the sidebar chat. Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone
Yeah.
can see that.
It's kind of cleaner than the normal media wiki setup and has foreground grid, which I haven't actually really worked with, but looks quite cool from what I've seen. It's used on another wiki which I've done quite a lot of work on. There. I assume people have seemed reasonably okay with the skin kind of organization of having stuff along the top.
Yeah, I quite like that.
I imagine there could be some more work done to make it a bit more consistent with the rest of the site, but I changed the colors. That's kind of about it.
Yeah. I think, yeah. By the way, Eric, feel free to, I think it would make sense for you to kind of like chair this bit of a discussion. So I put in a little hat, so I will go for it. Just for tiny, but I think the like minimalist design is good. I don't think it needs spending much more time on. I would just give a bit more space into the green thing so that the EA light bulb logo has a bit more green above it. I'm sure you're already aware of that. I think that the kind of the drop-down menus are sort of good actually as a kind of way to like direct people in. I think it would be good to have one for. It's a bit hard to know what to call it, but like the wiki. One of the nice things about it is it's a place for like original content. There's the general pages section.
Yeah.
When there's things which like Matisse's probably butchered the pronunciation there, but Matisse's linker quotes. There's nowhere else like that obvious like maintain that.
Yeah.
Besides a kind of private Google Doc. So I think it might be good to have something like that as one of the menu options, like original wiki content or general pages or something like that.
It's hard. I would suggest having that as kind of a page linked to from the main page rather than a drop-down menu, because then it's kind of easier for other people to add their things to that rather than having to go in and change the navigation that's going to be on every page in order for that to be added. It seems more flexible. Although a link to a page which had a load of that kind of content would probably be useful. I'm not sure if there's kind of a bunch more examples, then I might understand better what you would want to do with it. Is the menu based on categories? No, the menu is based on a single page in a namespace which is only editable by administrators.
Right, got it. Yeah, I don't feel strongly. I was just saying like some way to highlight that original wiki content.
I agree that we want some way to relatively easily get to that. I'm not certain about the best way to do that, but I'm not sure about putting it in the navigation menus would be the best. Okay, I've imported the content from the old wiki, and I can re-import anything that's changed in the meantime, which probably won't be that much. I looked at the edit history and like nothing had been changed for quite a while. I made an initial quick version of the info box for organizations to kind of display various structured information about them, like how many people are working there, what's their budget, what causes they're working on, and that will auto-categorize the page based on what causes it is. And hopefully I will be able to set something up which will let us store some of the data semantically, and then we can have in wiki pages with a little query which will generate a kind of list of all charities in X area by budget or that kind of thing with Semantic Media Wiki. That sounds like it would be quite useful to some people, maybe. Sorry, Ozzy.
Yeah, so I just want to say, first of all, like, awesome job with this. I was not expecting, like, typically when someone says they're going to do something like make a wiki, it takes a very long time and you don't get very far.
Yeah.
So you've already done like a terrific job. So you deserve lots of praise for that. So good job.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
This is really cool, and I'm happy with the
Other
action.
end of a lot of those people.
What?
I've been on the other end of lots of people. I've worked with lots of projects before and had lots of people be like, "Yeah, I'll do loads of stuff," and it doesn't happen. So I try not to.
It's definitely really hard to actually do things, right? And this is done. This is done, and that's awesome. Yeah, I'm actually really happy with the editing. Looks really simple. Looking forward to seeing what happens with Hackpad. Yeah, this looks usable.
Excellent.
Just one question: what's the login right now? Because when I log in with the Hub, I'm doing it like a Google login, and this seems to require a username and password.
Yep. I disabled the MediaWiki registrations because I want to do single sign-on with ideally the Hub or possibly something else, because MediaWiki has really terrible, almost non-existent spam protection, and it's quite annoying to make people register twice.
Yep.
So until that's set up, I've disabled registrations. If anyone wants an account, message me on Facebook or something, and I can get you on for now. But I don't want to enable public registrations until that's sorted out.
How long do you think that'll take to sort out? Or can any of us help you with that?
It's not something that I can actually do. I don't have access to the Drupal part, so I'm kind of waiting. I was waiting on Chris for a while, and then, yeah, I can do the MediaWiki part, but I can't set that side up.
So this, Tom, are you handling this?
Yeah. So this is actually a potential action point below for someone else. Yeah, if we're like looking for action points to assign to people, which we kind of discussed at the start of the meeting. I don't know if you saw Sam Hilton's suggestion. Yeah, it would be awesome if someone else wants to come in. Otherwise, my understanding, Eric, is that like you were going to kind of look up since Chris Conte was going to do this, but got too busy. You were going to kind of like look up basically how to do it, and then kind of point me to the Drupal module or whatever, which I would install.
Yeah,
There's
a few options that I have looked at, and I've sent links to kind of what needs doing for that. But the issue is I'm not certain that it will work. It's kind of enable it and hope that the MediaWiki add-on is compatible with, like the implementation of OAuth is the same and has the right fields, and if it doesn't work, then it might require a bit more attention from someone else who's got a bit of programming knowledge, because I'm not much of a programmer.
So I haven't sort of recently got an email with links of what to install.
Yeah,
so if you'd be able to resend
that. A while ago, I sent,
right.
I'll resend and
resend
be
that.
more specific about what I want from that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So I think the way it'll basically go is you'll resend that, and then I'll install the kind of the Drupal modules. And then basically you'll see if it works, and if not, then then we consider what to do.
Yeah. Also, one thing to consider is that if you want, like, if we could find someone at Odesk who knows exactly how to do that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, we could do it .impact fund way, couldn't we?
Yeah. If it costs like a few hundred or whatever, something like that. Like that's the kind of thing that I could imagine killing us and like taking 2 months to figure out. And by that point, we've lost a whole lot. So just making sure it gets done quickly, even if it requires some payment. I'd be happy to fit the bill. It's like somewhat reasonable.
The single sign-on is kind of the one big thing which I want done and can't do myself
on
the wiki. The other kind of smaller one would be design. That's kind of can get something to work myself. But the single sign-on. Yeah.
So it looks like that's like the big thing. Like, Tom, are you going to be the one to be in charge of that, or I could look at it, or if anyone else volunteers? But we need one person.
I'll send out a couple of like the things which I have found which look like they have potential to you guys, and then work out, try it, see if that works. If it does work, great. If it doesn't work.
Unfortunately, I don't have so much time to be in charge of it at the moment. So I'll install the modules and so on. But
there was a module, but it looked really outdated and wasn't being looked after at all.
Right. So if Ozzy or Eric like work out, like Ozzy, you mentioned both of your names. If you kind of work, you have to be in charge of what and so on.
Oh, sorry, you cut out there for a little bit. Like, so are you going to install the modules?
I'll install the modules and then like do any sort of like quick things like that. But then maybe since you mentioned both of your names, maybe you like Ozzy and Eric could chat together about like who should do what.
Okay, I'll spend some time looking at it. Let me know when the module is installed.
Yeah.
Between me and Patrick,
yes.
I think you'll be able to help a bit, and like hopefully, we'll try to figure that out.
Okay. What's the next items? What do I have? Yeah, I reached out to a couple of people who seemed like they might be able to help with design because I I can do HTML, but I don't really enjoy it, and it won't be anywhere near as good as someone who's really knows what they're doing. If they basically, I would like someone to design a nice landing page that links out to lots of useful places rather than just kind of a normal wiki page with lots of lists, which isn't as useful. Recommendations for where to look for that, people who are likely to be interested in that, let me know, send them my way. Anyone with web design experience, you can use HTML directly into the page. Almost all. There's a few unsafe ones, but I can get around that with widget namespace.
One question, like, what are the analytics like for MediaWiki?
Analytics. Okay, so like be able to track page views on specific pages and things.
Yeah.
Or
How do we know, like in general, how do we know if it's doing well?
there is a page count on each page, which once we get caching, we should disable because it's actually quite expensive. Depending on how,
Wait, what's expensive about it?
it makes you rebuild the page every time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And MediaWiki's kind of it's not an efficient way to do things without caching, but it's okay for small. I'm not sure how much we expect to grow. But basically, analytics, you can see which pages are popular quite easily. There's a list of most visited pages by how many times they've been visited.
But do we?
Outside.
So like the ideas of like how many visitors we've had in the last month, is that going to be publicly available? Will there be an API to get that kind of stuff, or is that like only?
Oh, that's the point. With visitors, not so much. Wiki Apiary can track edits and lots of other things. But I'll just show you a graph of the what the kind of data they collect is. We can get. I'll add it to Wiki Apiary once we go public, and it will track some stuff, but not viewers. MediaWiki doesn't have much in the way of internal analytics.
I just I see that we don't have a link to the EA Wiki on the Hackpad. Am I correct?
Don't we?
Like at least in our discussion. I'm just
Oh,
gonna put
and
that.
on the project meeting, no, I didn't add it there. I'll just do that.
Okay, that's. Oh wait, yeah, we can do that. Well, I'm just making sure that there wasn't any specific reason why we didn't want it.
I
So.
just
Okay.
didn't get around to that, and I'm avoiding posting it too publicly because
Okay.
it's not ready. But I imagine it's not going to be not have loads of random people turning up to it from that.
So once we have SSO, I guess the metrics are going to be like what you said. Are we going to? Is there going to be an issue with getting people to manage editing or getting people to encourage editing of content
I'm
to try to
actually
publicize that?
involved quite heavily in that. I like community management,
Okay.
and if I'm hoping that I'll be able to set up like lists of things that are useful to do, so you guys can kind of throw people who want to do something useful and want to get more involved at me, and I'll be able to give them something vaguely productive and useful to do that will keep them interested.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm up for doing quite a lot of that.
That's awesome. That's really good.
Cool. What do we have else? Main sticking points thing is going on. Yep, we talked about that. To discuss semantic MediaWiki, I think we should use that and have added it already after I wrote this. Visual editor is what you see is what you get editor, which has some controversy. It's better for a non-technical audience and worse for a technical audience. Do we want it? Do we want to kind of go through the hassle of having dependencies for that? And do we want it? If it's not default, then it kind of isn't worth having because the people who need it won't find out how to turn it on. And if it is default, then it's slightly annoying for the people who don't need it. What do we think about that? What's our no, Wikia uses, I think, a slightly different one. I'm not completely certain. I haven't used Wikia that much. I think they might have forked from an earlier attempt at writing what you see is what you get editor.
I personally would kind of believe that, like, in general, we definitely have a more techy audience.
Okay.
And we have a more, like, kind of dedicated audience, so I think that, it's not something to be uncomfortable with. Like, we're pretty young and, like, half of us are coders, so...
Yeah. Okay.
If
the
it's going
average
to be...
editor's going to know what they're doing enough for it not to be scary that there are, like, square brackets.
I mean, some of it comes down to how bad the WYSIWYG editor is. In my experience, a lot of them are pretty crappy.
It's better than some, but it's not perfect.
So, do any of them use Markdown?
No. There was quite a while ago someone wanted some funding in order to rewrite MediaWiki's parser in Markdown, but I don't think that ever happened.
That'd be really cool. But I imagine it could be quite difficult. So.
Yeah, MediaWiki's parser is apparently a complete hilarious nightmare. But it's kind of been worked with by so many people, and it's kind of been forced to work, even though it was really trying not to.
Well, that sounds like JavaScript.
Yeah. How difficult? Non-visual editor. For basic stuff, it's fine. It's quite simple formatting, and Wikipedia does use the visual editor. Yes.
The non-visual editor.
Wikipedia uses the visual
like
editor.
Like if I go to Wikipedia now and edit a page, what am I seeing? Am I seeing the?
I think you are. If it they might have ended up disabling it. Wikipedia is also a site which I have not actually edited that much. I get annoyed with their deletionism and leave and edit other wikis instead. So I'm not actually certain whether they're using it, but they definitely were using it for a while.
I've just linked to an edit page.
Okay, let's see.
I don't know if everyone can see it. It has like, yeah, it's not like super user friendly actually.
No, okay. This is what we have currently. That's what I've set up for the wiki. It's not the full visual editor. Visual editor basically wouldn't have any of the It would all be kind of hidden and pretty, rather than having the symbols for formatting.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn. I might personally lean a bit more towards the visual editor, because I think what you see there on Wikipedia would put some people off.
It would, but I imagine we wouldn't have as much complicated formatting as Wikipedia tends to. Simple pages don't look as bad.
What do other people? Particularly if you look at that link which I just put in the sidebar.
I think that would be kind of scary for a lot of people, but we won't have anything as nasty as that on almost any article.
But even just the fact that to put in a heading, you have to put in equal signs and so on.
Yeah. But you can go to, if you open the advanced bit, if you click the little arrow down, then you can change, highlight a thing and just click heading, and then you can see what it is. And it's quite easy to kind of tell what the formatting is by looking at it. You can figure out how to do basic stuff just by looking at any page's source.
Yeah, if anyone else listening in would like to comment, I guess this seems a helpful thing to get
more opinions.
Might you find this confusing, or do you know people who would? Maybe it's just us three on the call.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I guess is that even though we're technical now, yeah, sorry. But
I think just I think it just looks kind of intimidating, but I probably would be able to do it. But I mean, it depends on what kind of people you want to attract, I suppose.
Okay, so consider Visual Editor. Some positives towards it as well. My personal is, I would expect probably not if we've got quite a technical audience, but maybe we could find some other people to ask who are likely editors, or just see if anyone complains about it. I guess you might not get the people you want to hear.
Yeah. I'd say it's your call.
Okay.
A project and running with it, but yeah.
Okay, I'll put it on the maybe list and think about it and put it as kind of a thing that we don't need to have before launch, but should come back to again at some point and work out whether we actually want it. Okay. Scribunto, I'm leaning more towards you probably don't need that. It's lets you do safe Lua scripting for pages. If we want to do anything really fancy, then that would be quite fun. I imagine some people will be able to build cool projects with it. But I don't
Doesn't seem like a priority.
It's kind of if we're kind of using it for open hosting and someone has an idea for something which needs really fancy things, then let's do that. But otherwise, not essential. How much? Yeah, I'm kind of going ahead with this, but I'm not. I'm quite new to EA. I'm very good. I spent lots of time with wikis, but I don't know the community. I don't know what resources are available. I don't know that much about what I'm trying to build and what is available that I shouldn't replicate, or what is available that does exist but should be moved to here. I need kind of people who are familiar working with me a bit so that I know what I'm doing.
So I mean, for one thing, that is one reason why, like, every 2 weeks we have these meetings, and that's a good place to ask, like, a large crowd.
Yeah.
For a smaller crowd, like, don't be afraid to post questions, like general questions, on the Facebook forum. Third, though, if you yeah.
List of altruism. Which
What was it?
Which Facebook group? .impact or Effector Altruists?
So my guess is that, like, if it's something that if there's going to be a lot of questions, or they're going to be kind of specific to the implementation, then the .impact group. So .impact should be your first go-to.
Okay.
If it's like something really important that a lot of people are going to have a say to, like, what are the 10 most important organizations with an effective altruism?
Yep.
That may be the kind of thing that you want to just ask the effective altruist group for.
What to put on the menus, kind of thing.
Yeah, like, if you had to decide, like, what are the 10 most important groups, or if you want to do like a survey, for instance.
I think someone, Maxwell Fritz, recently did a survey. I can't remember if it was about that. I'm just searching in the Facebook group.
Surveys would probably be more appropriate on the effective altruist page because you'd get more people.
Okay.
And survey is awesome, but generally too, like, don't be afraid.
And you could say.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to go on the .impact page and say, like, look, I'm helping for people to spend time organizing content, because that's something that a lot of people could do if they have time for, and it definitely would be useful.
Yeah.
And if you need, like, if they need some funding for that, like, I realize it's not that expensive, but even just to cover help cover some of the cost of the time, that's definitely available.
Okay. It's useful to know. I'm just wondering whether there's anything else that I should bring up. I think I've reached the end of my list. Yeah.
How much time do you have, like, just over in general?
I have.
It sounds like you're prepared. You're happy to kind of stick around in general for the project.
The next
which is
couple of
great.
days I've got mostly free, and then I'm away for a week, and then I'll kind of be semi-around for the rest of the month, enough to kind of finish things up and look after it while it's launching, but probably not kind of write loads of content or anything.
Awesome.
And then in the longer term, I would kind of expect myself to be at least around to look after things and answer questions and point people in the right direction for vaguely indefinitely.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
I enjoy.
I think that'd be really useful to have you have some sort of, like, ownership. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
actually,
sorry,
one quick.
for other people to jump in and, like, also help manage stuff, especially if they've been around EA for a long time. I could do with someone to help cover that side while I'm learning the ropes. Go on.
Oh, sorry. You may be able to apply for a certificate of impact if this grows, just like kind of one of those projects.
Okay.
And then you may be able to get like 500 to 1,000. That's like just to help out. So.
That might be useful. Yeah.
So.
Cool. I will think about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like you were done, Eric.
Yeah, I think I've done all the major bits. There's a few specifics of like, yeah, no, nothing that I need to go into too much more other than what I've said.
Cool.
Can we go to the next one?
Yeah, let's go to the next one. So it's very brief, actually. It's relevant to Randy, who's on the line, which is a kind of worldwide EA donation routing mechanism, which is set up kind of in the US. We're also, actually, Ozzy, you might be interested. We're looking at, so Randy is going to start kind of donor, like fee-free donor-advised funds soon.
Oh yeah,
Like
awesome.
an EA, kind of EA trust type thing, or EA donor-advised funds, but also like individual ones where people can choose where they disperse to. So actually, that might make it less worth your while looking into the Vanguard stuff.
Yeah, I haven't been
Randy, Ozzy was kind of looking into like establishing his own like Vanguard EA donor-advised funds.
We talked about it, I think, a bit, and then Randy convinced me not to do it and wait for him to get further.
Cool, great. Are you there, Randy?
Yeah, I am. I'm
Cool.
working on it. Can you guys hear me? Because I switched mics, and this one kind of sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
Quite quiet, but I can hear you.
Yeah. I don't think there's any particular need, but if you want to update people on anything, this would be a good time. The only thing I put was like we learned a bit about like efficient cross-country, cross-currency transfer and so on, which is useful for people to know about in case they ever need to do it.
Yeah, so if people are going to do cross-country transfers, obviously reach out to Tom and I. That's something that we'll tackle during like another stage, is launching this out globally. We'll probably start here in the US, and then Tom will be managing the end in Canada for the EA type fund. Is that kind of a correct statement, Tom?
Yep.
Is you'll take the Canadian donors, I'll take care of the
Absolutely, yeah.
donors.
Yeah, and we have some other people involved, yeah, in other countries too.
Yeah, and so, but for the EA fund, we'll have to make sure with the other partners if they're okay with joining on once we get to those.
Yeah, I imagine the EA Fund Trust would have to be in the US to start with, realistically.
Yep. Yeah, so that's where we'll start, and that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions on here, like Ozzy or anything?
Yeah,
Like what features you'd want or anything?
Yeah, how are you? I guess like there are a lot of questions about it. First of all, have you talked to Michelle or any of the Giving What We Can people about this?
Briefly. They were understaffed a couple months ago whenever I was talking to them.
Yep.
And so they wanted me to be to take over and make it all happen for them. And so that's a matter of me getting up probably the website, setting up all the back end, everything else. And that's going to take me some time between everything.
Yeah, once it's actually set up and operating.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
that's
I
something.
haven't talked extensively, no.
It could use help with. So I was talking actually with someone about doing the judging, because I think that deciding on the people and getting their buy-in to help be the ones to actually choose where the money goes is pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess
So
like
Go
what?
ahead.
I mean, I think I'd be happy to talk with you outside of this meeting about that.
Okay, why don't we do that? Because obviously we can get in more details and shoot ideas around it and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is a really cool
Would you like to
topic.
be included?
Sounds great.
Okay. Tom, would you want to be included on that meeting, or should Ozzy and I just start out to begin with?
No, you start out. Yeah, start out by yourself and just fill me in afterwards, maybe.
Okay. And this is the same thing that I've told Tom, is this is a big compliance part of the year for me in these couple months, because I do our taxes and everything. So not this week, but 18th onward. Just let me know when you're available, Ozzy, and we can go from there.
Oh, yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Cool. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Item is like the Hub website, which is Effective Altruism Hub. The only updates are like sprangfor.org after asking if it was worth it on the Ed.impact Facebook group, and that like Oliver Abrico got in touch asking to host some pages he was putting together there, and he was going to do that, but they ended up making sense to put them on bayrationality.com, which people interested in specifically the kind of Bay Area rationalist community might look at. So we just thought we'd like link to it, but it's like worth mentioning that like we're generally open to hosting stuff, and also actually open to like the server being used for stuff like it's being used for like the wiki. It was the kind of server we had to hand. Yeah, and Peter's put in an update about Reddit, the EA Reddit, which is just what it says there. There's the next thing on the item is there's a kind of list of startup ideas with comments and upvotes.
So I'm just looking at the Bay Area Rationality site again. There's a lot of stuff on there now. I didn't realize.
There is. Yeah, he did a pretty big job on it.
They're going to all the
Yeah.
movies together, going to like... it's hilarious. It's cool.
Oh, there's a Bayesian choir.
Yeah, they...
Do you remember? I don't know. No, you weren't there when I came up with the Bayesian. When I formed the Bayesian Boys band, Ozzy.
Oh, no.
I think that was before you came to Oxford. Yeah. We had a hit called "I Want It the Bayesian Way," which I can send the lyrics to. And I discovered when I went to Switzerland, word of it had spread there, but Lucius Caviola had like claimed credit for it. He claimed he'd invented it. I know. It's our first. This is what happens in the music business. I knew I shouldn't have gotten involved.
There'll have to be a documentary about this someday.
Exactly.
Oh, we should keep on going.
I would probably like to get access to the list of the EA the startup ideas. I've got a few which I'm obviously never going to actually do, but seem like they vaguely have potential.
Fun. You should contact Peter Herford
Okay.
about that. You need to request access
Do I
from
need
him.
to go through the whole trial period on X Ventures, or can I just ask to get straight in?
I just asked to get straight in.
Okay.
Yeah, just ask Peter. He'll have, yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, sorry. For trial location is more like that's worth. We were thinking of using Reddit instead, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah. It's platonic. Josh put an update, but he's not here. Outreach to non-EA societies and groups. Oh yeah, actually, I'll just cut this. Property is done. Non-English language outreach. I made a kind of list of all of the kind of foreign language, or I should say non-English language venues at the wiki. I always lapse into calling them foreign. And some discussion there. And there's been quite a bit of effort, like editing the Wikipedia page, the EA Wikipedia page, and I think a bunch of people were impressed by it and said it looked really good. Doesn't mean that the list of organisations, interestingly, has been like pruned down fairly extensively. But yeah, I don't know actually. Anyway, if anyone thinks they should have more organisations,
Is that impact on
something on the
Wikipedia
talk
yet?
page.
Probably not.
Oh yeah, well yeah. If anyone thinks we should have .impact, they should go on probably like the talk page. I think .impact like deserves a.
Pretty cool.
It's a sufficiently large. Yeah. It deserves a mention. So that's a good thing. Everyone should go on. Is a sort of, I don't know, Eric, if this is the way it's done, a good etiquette, but everyone should go on as like an edit army and at least comment on the talk page. Is that the way to do things?
I might be considered canvassing, but I think it's probably like could get away with that. That seems reasonable. Like suggest it.
You suggested on the talk page.
If you kind of ask a load of people to all go and onto the talk page, then that's considered slightly questionable. But if you just kind of do it, then that's okay.
I retract the suggestion. You may want to voluntarily come up with the idea yourself.
But unless you like go out and say this person told us all to do it, then they won't notice.
Yeah.
I also am not that big a Wikipedia editor. I find I've read loads of their policies, and I find a lot of their policies quite frustrating. There's some sense to them, but I prefer other wikis.
Yeah.
I was going to jump back slightly. You were saying non-English language EA outreach.
Yeah.
How high a priority should I make setting up the wiki so it can be multilingual? Because that would probably be possible, but take a significant amount of effort. How?
My guess is it's not worth it just yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I think people could like hack it by like creating some non-English pages, which obviously isn't ideal, but it's not the end of the world.
I can quite quickly set up namespaces for different languages, but if we want like the interface to work correctly and the like drop downs to be translated, depending.
Yeah, no, that's not a priority.
Okay, I can. If anyone wants, if there's any other language communities that are significant and are likely to want to join in, I can easily set up namespaces for them.
Yeah, I think it'd be good if you could mention that, basically, the possibility, so people are aware of it. And then basically if like a keen group approaches you,
Okay.
like only do it then.
Where should I mention that on this here, or where should I put that?
No, I mean on the wiki itself, probably.
Okay, on the wiki itself.
Probably should be like an about the wiki page or whatever.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. Put that on my to-do list. Okay, I'm done.
Cool. So I will skip over the Facebook welcome. Not much to say about that. Giles isn't here. The small EA task suggester is kind of cool. People can check it out if they haven't already. We decided just to host it on the kind of EA Hub's Actions tab, and we did decide it was ready enough to launch. But actually, Chris Conte is just making some changes, so we'll launch it soon. I'm sure you'll see the announcement. Probably going to drop the some of you may remember ages ago, half a year ago or 3/4 of a year ago, we discussed having an EA Actions interface with badges and stuff for EA profiles. And so this may end up either replacing it, or maybe Chris Conte was keen to make it power it. Yeah, and Josh says this could be a good thing to have it. Definitely, we were discussing in the EA Facebook group discussion earlier this meeting. It's good to point people to actions rather than just talking. And there are some possible programming ways to get involved. But I think Chris Conte is largely covering those. But if anyone wants to get involved, then let me know. The EA Reading Group has their next discussion on Thinking and Deciding by Jonathan Barron. And there's a link there with the date of the discussion if anyone would like to join that. The regular EA Digest looks like it will be restarting again because I introduced Mikhail and Agatha to take on some work from Evan because they were thinking of starting doing something similar.
But actually, quick pause. I'm looking through that on the EA Task Suggester, which found me to the people interested in EA volunteering. I take it no one's looked at this document in a while. It's sorry. I'm kind of bad about that. Not many people have signed up recently, but I think it's 4 have. There's a gap from 2013 to 2015. So, yeah.
I think that's because that page wasn't prominent, I guess, on Impact. And then I think when I did the reintroduction post, there was a link to it. That's probably when the new people just joined.
So, well, I'll work on trying to figure out, actually, unless anyone else wants to. Yeah. Would any of you be interested in just talking to a few guys? 4 or 5 people? Just reaching out to them, saying hi.
If it's related to the wiki, then I can, if they kind of...
This is not related to the wiki. This is quite separate from the wiki.
I mean, if they want to, if they're volunteering and the things that they're volunteering are things that could be used on the wiki.
Okay. So for one thing, just look at that document, right? Feel free to go through that document that I just sent out, and some of them do offer research and writing. So if any of those look interesting to you, feel free to reach out to them and say, dude, I hear you like writing. But yeah, right now it would be good, of course, to have a policy. So I think I'll talk with Peter Herford about it because that's something that we obviously should probably be doing. So. Anytime, let's go to the next thing.
I can add to the small EA task suggester. Someone could make it so you can sign up to receive a daily suggestion in your email or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to kind of get involved on anything like that, Mattis.
No, I'm just throwing out a
Like
suggestion.
yeah. So, first suggestion. Okay, cool. I'll note that suggestion then. Yep.
Do we have something like that, like a list, an email every day of something EA to do? Or are you suggesting that someone write one? Oh, sorry, I may have misheard that. Let's just keep on going.
Cool. Yeah, I think we just discussed. Yeah, we jumped back. I think we just discussed the regular EA digest. So the next thing is the kind of the local effective altruism. Yeah, go on.
Can I continue with the spreadsheet there that was linked to? It's really hard to read because the column widths are all the same, and you can't kind of skim over and get a quick idea because you can only fit like a small number on a screen. Adjusting the column widths of that would actually make it vastly more readable. Which
feel free to do that yourself, Eric. I think most of it don't impact stuff.
It doesn't. I don't have access to edit column widths.
I could. Can you just like post your email address or your Google email address, and then I'll give you access.
Yeah.
You can.
I think Randy had a hat.
Yeah, it was about the volunteer list. I was just wondering if Ozzy was also looking to have more volunteers on the list as well. If Ozzy was looking to do that, we might be able to add that as part of our onboarding policies whenever we have new members.
I don't think we're kind of that set, just to answer for Ozzy. I see two Aussies now, so something may be going on. Yeah, I presume that Ozzy and I would both say like we're not kind of desperate for kind of new volunteers at the moment because we just don't really have anyone. We don't have much capacity to kind of reach out to them.
Okay. Okay. Just seeing what the issue was, if it was just on the reach out or if it was also on the onboarding process.
Like people to fill in this form, like it's not just used by us. It's the sort of like the kind of central like public EA place for this stuff. And I know other EA organizations use it, but like we at least don't really have anyone around to like contact these people. So yeah, just skipping to the kind of local effective altruism network. Marcus has been doing a whole bunch of work on that along with me. And yeah, there's scope for anyone else to kind of get involved in running this, which Marcus is doing. So let me know if anyone you know like might be interested. Several of the new groups are like holding active, well-attended meetups, which is good, and we set up meetup.com groups and mailing lists for some. And yeah, that's about it. Very partial charity science updates. We sort of had the main dates for Experience Poverty. Had about 150 people signed up. Someone just to kind of volunteer with like face-to-face asks about too much of our involvement. Potentially like Dorian in the face, like EA asks. If anyone has any thoughts on what would be a good experiment or what would be like a good ask for those sorts of things, then speak now or stick it in the minutes. And we've got a comment from Randy, like, can we cover .impact volunteers for building EA marketing materials and adding like EA action points to existing viral materials? Yeah, I think like in general we're kind of short of EA marketing materials. I think when we get new people, particularly in the Facebook group, that'd be a good thing for someone to point them to. Yep. Just skipping through the stuff pretty quickly. EA Point Systems gamification. Someone just left this comment and said they created a new hackpad, which you guys can kind of look into if you're interested. And finally, on the EA forum, Ryan Carey is looking for another moderator to replace the departing Marcus, and Ozzy has.
Oh yeah.
Rulebook. Do you want to say what that is?
Yeah, I'll say what Rulebook is. I think it's pretty cool, even though it's not like EA focused. Basically, the idea is that there are times when, for some of our web projects, although this is mostly like a company thing for me, in our web projects, there would be like a lot of rules or things that we wouldn't want in the code base. Like there would be ways of writing things that we wouldn't allow, like using double quotes when you're not using interpolation, or using any specific words. So I wrote a command line tool that allows you to basically say you could write your rule books, which are YAML files, and you can see one of them if you click on the thing. Oh wait, maybe that's wrong. Oh yeah, this is a wrong link actually. This is what a rulebook looks like. The actual rulebook project, 1 second, is over here. Yeah, I just posted it. I don't know if that's interesting to you, but basically you download it, it's written in Golang, and then you could use it to enforce like style guides and writing styles. So for instance, if you wanted to, you could say, never use these code styles in the code base. But you could also do things like you could say, oh, when I'm writing, I never want to use adverbs, so let me like write all the adverbs. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, sorry about that. That was an error. So you could write adverbs, or you could write any type of words that you don't want to ever use in your writing, and then check them against, automatically using this command line tool. It's pretty straightforward. You may not have a use for it now, but if you ever do, it's now written and it works pretty well. That's it.
Cool. So we're at the end of the agenda. We've gone on for like an hour and 3/4. It's been like a relatively long meeting, so I'd like to suggest we probably like skip the free discussion stuff. All of that stuff can wait generally. Apart from we skip that to like the next meeting unless there's anything like there which people would like to discuss now, and also like if there's anything kind of more time sensitive or for people who are just around for this meeting. If there's anything that those people would like to discuss, then like now's the time.
Here's one very quick thing.
I'm just putting the stuff which is already in the agenda below.
Yeah, one quick thing I'd just like to bring up is that it would be nice if any of you guys, now there are a bunch of people who have recently come to the Bay Area. So if people would be interested, it may be kind of fun to do like a monthly or weekly daily hackathon where people just work on projects like these and help each other out. I don't think many of you guys live in the Bay. I know you do, Haseeb. Connection keeps on cutting out. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, sorry about that. I'm just curious if anyone in the Bay Area, or people outside of the Bay Area, may be interested in like, we could do online hackathons too, where we just say, yeah, weekly, yeah. We could also do, yeah, international hackathons, which just means that we pick one day, and we say like, look, or one weekend, and we say, just see what you could do this weekend. Everyone works that weekend, and we just like, at the end of it, do little presentations to see what we came up with. So, would anyone be interested in what? God, this is frustrating. Would any of you guys be interested in doing that? Things to see. Anyone else?
I'm not really a programmer, so.
So, sorry, when I say a hackathon, it really mean a workathon. So you just do anything, right? It's like
right.
You pick something that needs to get done. You try to see how much you could achieve in a weekend. You maybe form teams, hopefully, and like just form up with anyone local or online, and then you just spend the next 2 days like trying that thing, right? It's also possible that if we coordinate with a few people within EA organizations, that maybe they could just be around during that weekend. So if anyone asks them questions, it's pretty obvious to everyone that like everyone should be available to talk to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weekends are not very good for me generally. Weekdays are much more available.
Oh, really? Okay. I think for most of us, different.
So probably wouldn't end up being part of that.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that's a good point, Lucy. The timing will probably be like a bit an issue, but we could probably work something out. Cool. Any last things? Yeah, Marcus.
Sure. We just mentioned moderating the forum. I just want to say, it takes like maybe 10 minutes a day. So if you're interested in the lease, you can definitely do it. Yeah, I started off, I was kind of obsessive and checking constantly, but it really doesn't. It doesn't require that. It's not that much. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Cool. Yes, any last comments, questions?
I have a project suggestion which I haven't added to the pad. I'd like to see something like charity gift cards, where you can gift some money to someone who can then use it, like via GiveWell or Animal Charity Evaluators. Because a thing I like to do is to give people gifts they can use, and if I do not know anything they could use, I can like donate a small amount in charity. But the current system in either GiveWell or Ace is pretty crappy, which they don't let people see how much you've donated in their name. And also, yeah, there's no such thing as like a charity gift card. I'm not sure who to pitch this to, so.
So this is something which we've actually considered doing for Charity Science, since we kind of focus on fundraising. And we did these things for kind of Christmas, for the Christmas fundraisers, those kind of Christmas cards. Like at the moment, like we've decided it's not a priority, but it's something we're like considering. One thing which I think would be really useful would be if you, like Mattis, want to like work out like how much demand there is for them. If you work out like find out that there's a certain number of EAs who would use them, then that would like make us and make like anyone else more likely to do them.
Okay.
Yeah. My impression is that it's the kind of thing that it sounds. I think my thing with the Christmas cards is that it seems like a very good like first step, and I'm very happy it happened. But I could imagine a lot of really cool ways that you could take it. For instance, if it was kind of like the personal giving games. I like the idea that someone could kind of choose which charity among a few to donate to. But it's kind of the implication is that you're trying to maximize with that amount. I don't know exactly how the money would be transferred if you had multiple people. Maybe there'd be a third party that people give the money to. I would imagine that the big bottleneck, though, is time. It is difficult to find people with the time and drive to make something like that happen, because to make anything cool happen could take a while. If it happened, I would definitely be willing to buy them. So would you be interested in like trying to organize that, Mattis? Matisse?
Yeah, the first thing I could do is actually to ask whether in the global group, Facebook group, whether EAs want something like this to exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Cool, that would be great. I'm actually going to have to duck out to like cook a big dinner for people, but it's been great talking to you guys. And feel free, obviously, like carry on without me.
I'll carry on.
Yep. See you guys.
Bye.
Good job. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we could try to flesh out the idea right now a little bit, and we could get ideas for that. Because even if you if EAs tell you that it's good, that doesn't tell you too much, because there's still a whole lot of ways that you could actually go through with this. I'd imagine that Randy would know a lot about how the funding could work. Like the way I could, it makes, to me it seems like a web thing. Like, I don't know about, you may know, it shouldn't be like, you shouldn't have to install an app, but if it was like a web app, so that you send someone to a page where if they have the right token, then basically, like they have a token, maybe there's like a fund or something, or an organization that you donate $100 to, and then you give someone a link to then go to that organization's webpage where they choose what charity, and then that organization would then spend the $100. I don't know exactly how the money transfer would work out.
it could work out kind of like Amazon gift cards in some ways, where you just have a token, you enter it in, and then you get that funds that goes into your account, and then you could just gift it out to one of the select EA organizations or something like that. I think it's a great idea to onboard people that aren't EA and kind of raise awareness and make them aware of these good charities and whatnot. I think it's a great idea. Go ahead, Ozzy. What was some of your other questions?
No, I mean, so I guess, like, would we need an organization or something to hold the money onto? Like, to accept payments for these kinds of things and then be responsible for paying out the charities? And also, you should talk after me, after you respond to this question.
Okay. Just quickly, yeah, I would say you'd need a third party to coordinate it to make sure that the donations are legitimate and that you have a trusted third party that people know the money's actually going to where it's supposed to and it's not just a game or something like that. I think it'd be good to have a public organization running these kind of things. And then that way they also have an organization to go back to and find out more information from.
Yeah.
Haseeb?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about this in terms of like adoption, right? In terms of like who is going to end up using these and how are they going to end up using them, and how easy is it going to be to get people to start using these sort of charity gift cards. So the one thing that occurs to me is like if I imagine, for example, my mother, right? If I gave her a charity gift card on her birthday, right? I think first of all, I can't imagine my mother using a charity gift card because it's too like kind of abstract, and gift giving is so culturally normalized that like to sort of deviate so much from the normal way in which you're supposed to gift give, I think would be uncomfortable for people. It'd be hard to get people to do that. The place though that I think that something like this could have a really big effect is actually getting EAs to do this, right? So let's say it's somebody else's birthday, and EA could like buy a charity gift card, give it to their friend, and their friend learns about EA from this EA, and it's like a really, really easy way because we're constantly giving gifts. Like it's sort of a continuous social imperative, right? But like if you could use that to like still do something that's cool, of like giving this charity gift, and then somebody else gets to like go on a website and do something like that. It's a way I think for an EA to be more of an advocate very easily by instead of buying a present for their friend, to buy a charity gift card. And so I think if you market this specifically to EAs, like I think actually a great organization would be like Giving What We Can to like create these charity gift cards and market them to their members. I think that would be a really, really great idea. And I feel like that's probably where the biggest effectiveness for something like this comes in, is people who are already EAs and want to kind of have an easy in to spread stuff, kind of similar to like sort of a birthday fundraising, right? As sort of an easy in to advocacy. One way to create an easy into advocacy is like instead of giving gifts, start giving out charity gift cards. Because it's super easy to like start, and there are a lot of people who are nominal EAs, but have difficulty like getting out there and like having arguments with people. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mattis was next.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Did you have a question, or?
Oh no, sorry, I just saw the carrot. I'm totally lost. I wasn't paying attention while I was talking.
Yeah, I think
whoever else
order
wants
is.
to speak.
Yeah, Mattis, do you want to talk? Do you want to say something? Typically, the carrot means that someone wants to talk, so we just try to do it in order of the carrots.
No, I don't think I have anything to say.
Oh, so
okay.
I'll go quickly. I mean, I totally agree that I think the only people who will actually buy these things are EAs for a while, but that's fine. Like there are a lot of EAs, and there could be a lot of money involved. It seems like the kind of thing that it would be a promotional thing, which could be really good. So I could imagine where a lot of the benefit will come is that when, like, on the top of it, it'll be a link to go to a website, and that website will have, like, what that website looks like is where most of the good will be done. So I can imagine that website being something like, here are the 5 charities that you have to choose from. Here's a lot of information about each one. Here's, like, it kind of like tries to get people into the mindset of trying to figure out which one is optimal, right? So we give them all the statistics that are actually the statistics that they should have, like not the amount of money that goes to administration, or like an estimate of the number of lives saved per dollar, or something like that. Like some metrics to compare each one to. So basically, like we're basically using this as education. So when I give a gift card away, that person is kind of forced to educate himself a little bit before giving it up, before choosing it. Yeah. And then using it as like a platform with that sounds fantastic. I think that one quick thing is I imagine an expiration date, like maybe so that money doesn't have to get too complicated. Because often a lot of the gift cards will never be used. So maybe if there's like a default that like if it doesn't get used within 3 months, the money automatically goes to a specific charity or like the default charity.
Split up between send it straight to GiveWell and tell them to
That'd be great.
Yeah, like you have about
recommendations.
You have 3 months to actually use a gift card. If you don't use it within the 3 months, then it automatically goes away. Also, you don't begin with a card, right? Also, don't create an organization, a financial organization, do this. If you can attach it to an existing charity, then that seems a lot easier to me. Like if we're able to use Charity of Science, although they're Canadian, or if we're able to choose, like, whatever Randy is setting up with the, those accounts, those could be really good. Okay, I'm not familiar with the Commonwealth market, but yeah, if we could choose an existing institution, and we just make sure we have people that we trust from that to actually give them money out, that seems like the best way. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
My point was that a bonus from it is that it normalizes generous donations. Like an EA can give a notable amount of money as a gift to someone else, and then there's kind of a social idea of oh, it's normal to give a non-trivial amount to charity and think about where to put it, which is exactly the ideas you want to put in the heads of people. So yeah, great way of spreading the word, I think. And I would encourage have lots and lots of options kind of where it can be sent, and even have some options that are not necessarily as good. Like you could put some normal charities that we kind of don't think that highly of, and have this is how much impact your donation will have if you give it to this place. Not obviously saying that's a bad idea, but being there's some numbers here and there's some numbers here. Make your decision. Might be going a bit too far, but
no, I think having websites with numbers and stuff
of as well as EA related charities, of normal ones that we've investigated and know about how much impact they actually have.
And imagine that sounds like the kind of thing that'd be totally fine to try out. In the rare situation that people start giving them all the money, then you reduce it, right? You could try it, see how it works.
Yeah,
it's easy to modify. Cool.
One thing that jump in real quick. One thing that I do think that if you're going to set up something like this is that you want to be, I think, careful not to make it too much of a hard sell on EA, because I think the more kind of hard it is, the more this kind of gift becomes suspect. The more it seems like a recruitment tool. If someone gets on the site and it's all check out these links to EA, look at this organization, that kind of thing, then I think people don't feel good about getting this gift, right? People sort of feel okay, this guy is trying to get me into his weird whatever cult. I don't know what's going on, right? I think one of the really important things to make this work is not only to incentivize the people who get this and are willing to listen to think about EA concepts, but another thing is to have it adequately supplant what gift giving is otherwise like, which is a feel-good thing where you do something and you feel special and happy, right? And so I think that's another important part of whatever this sort of simulated giving game should be, is that it should have numbers and stuff like that, but it should also, I think, have a lot of traditional charity type marketing stuff of just here's how many people you would save, or here's a picture of people getting a malaria bed-net installed, right? It should feel good, so it should feel like a good gift. And I think that's also going to incentivize more people being willing to oh yeah, this worked. My mother really liked it when I gave her this thing because she felt special getting to do it. So I'm going to continue doing this in the future and giving more gifts for people's birthdays or graduations or whatever. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
One thing I have
Yeah.
noticed people do is I saw a few Facebook pages of someone who'd say like, I'm donating. I mean, this is not completely related. When it goes opposite, when it's like, for my birthday, I want you guys all to donate money to charities and let me know how much you've donated. I've seen a few people who have done that. It's probably been like $3,000 to $10,000 now at this point. It was just like, I'm going to donate my birthday or I'm going to donate my Christmas gift. So it goes the other way, and that is like a similar idea. I don't know exactly what the best way is if you wanted to turn that into a website, if you have those skills and are interested in that. But that's another thing you could do. That said, I don't know. Both of them are pretty good. Like if you wanted, it's probably easier to do it like that than to do it the gift card way. It's probably easier. Like so, I ask you to give me things like this instead of me giving you this. But both of them definitely seem effective. And then if I'm able to both replace my own birthday gifts plus all the birthday gifts I give to other people, not that I give many birthday gifts, with donations, that seems like a good win. So, go, Randy.
So Charity Science is already doing that. We're sponsoring them here in the U.S. and then they're running it in Canada and then otherwhere. It's all through CauseVox. I'm hoping that we'll actually be able to build our own software and get around CauseVox because that's costing us about 4.5% on CauseVox and then 3% for credit card processing. So it's 7.5%, 8% in total cost, which is significant. But
although you'd only be able,
Go ahead.
You could only save the 4% by making your own site. So you'd still have to spend 3% for credit card. If it's from credit card.
With EAs doing bank transfers and stuff like that, I think like through Dawala or something like that, I think they might be willing to put in the extra effort for it.
That would be
so
cool.
We could actually save the full 8%. So that's what I've been working on for the past few years, is getting all that stuff together. So anyways, Charity Science is already working on it on top of it for the actual you set up your birthday and people give to it. They already have some stuff set up in CauseVox for that if you guys are interested in it. Let me see if I can get you guys a link. Go ahead, Ozzy, if you want to go.
Oh, no, that was it.
Maybe the issue here is that Charity Science doesn't have it very well published how they do it. I mean, why aren't you guys familiar with it? Just so I can kind of take a brief survey and let Tom know.
So I guess I've seen like one of their I saw one or two of the birthday fundraisers, and they seemed so. I didn't do it. It was just things that I saw other people do. One thing, I'm not that happy with the Charity Science design right now. Like the pages I've seen didn't look that great. They looked pretty bare bones. Another though is that I think a lot of it is that the Charity Science page would be like, I want to fund this one charity for my birthday, while the people I've seen not use Charity Science but still do that is like, you could fund any charity, and that's something that I haven't seen, as much with the Charity Science page, or I haven't seen as a feature, but it may exist.
Yeah, I'd say it's just tough using CauseVox. Like you could raise for anything, but then tracking, helping them with their Experience Poverty campaign this past time, it's really hard tracking and reconciling like PayPal transactions with CauseVox transactions, and understanding which ones are coming from where. CauseVox has bugs, as all software does. So there was like 50 transactions that weren't like registered in CauseVox but made it through to PayPal, and trying to figure out where each one of those are going without doing custom programming is a little tough. So I think the reason why there's less complexity on Charity Science's end is so that way they can kind of be able to do these things and know where the money's supposed to go without having to go through too much back-end work to try to make it work. That's the reason why I think we actually have to build software for this to make it so it's actually user-friendly, like you're talking about. I think the user-friendliness just sucks right now, and it's really confusing, it's really convoluted. And users just in general aren't happy with it. And jumping over to PayPal sucks. I think we have a high dropout rate that just then like jumping over to PayPal and stuff. So like we were setting up Stripe, but then Stripe had like validation issues, and so we couldn't use Stripe right away. So there's just some things like that. But Hasib, you have some more stuff you want to comment on? Go ahead.
So this is actually a bit orthogonal to what we were talking about, but I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So, I'm currently at App Academy studying software engineering and or web development, and so in about a month we start our final projects, which are sort of these 2-week-long endeavors where we try to create a very robust, ornate Rails app for whatever. Oftentimes, what they'll do is people will clone sort of well-known apps, or sometimes they'll just develop their own app of something that they want to build. So I was originally considering working on Radical Givers as my final project, but I've started to feel, and I talked to Tom about this, and he tended to agree, that it's not a good idea because I don't really want Radical Givers to be this big, complex, kind of ornate, multifaceted thing. It should actually be fairly simple, and it'll probably not really. It probably won't really ultimately be what I want, so I'll be filling it out for no real reason. So I was wondering if you guys had any ideas for alternative projects that would still be useful. So I don't just want to create a Pinterest clone that's just going to go somewhere in my GitHub, right? It would be kind of cool to be able to build something that's actually useful, especially from an infrastructure EA perspective. So I was wondering if there's anything that you guys could think of that was on that scale, maybe something along these lines, that was currently missing. That wasn't just sort of building on something that's already there, if that makes sense. So a sort of a brand new project, something that makes sense to stand on its own as a project, rather than just improving the design of a site that already exists, which wouldn't really work within the scope of a final Rails project.
Yeah, so 2 suggestions. Number 1 would be, I actually think this gift card idea could be kind of cool. If you made a website for people to both pay and then decide where gift cards would be spent, and then track where the money is going, user login and payment. It could be to make it clean and make it workable. Seems like a pretty clean, kind of small app that would be a good size for this. Another idea that I think would be a lot of fun, although this is definitely on the more strange side, would be if we had a market for impact certificates of impact, right? So if anyone were allowed to, the way it would work is basically anyone could say how much they'd be willing to spend on any other certificate of impact, right? And then the moment that person decides they're okay selling it to the person who's going to pay the most, it automatically transfers. And the nice thing about that is you could figure out how much all of your certificates are worth based on the total amount that everyone else would be willing to, the highest bidder would be willing to pay for each one of your certificates. So having a market for that kind of thing, I think would be a really cool Rails project, but payments may be a bit strange. And it would definitely be oh, by the way, my project is creating this website for this thing that people don't know about because.
That's the other consideration, is that it has to be somehow explicable to an employer, right? So it sort of has to play those 2 functions. Where if it's too weird, so what's your project? This guy did Pinterest, this guy did Twitter. What did you do? It's well, I did the thing for. Let me explain.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. But I think with charity gift cards, though, Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
No. I mean, for some, if it was a payment processor or something. I could imagine it being interesting, but you're right. It's much more complicated to explain to an employer. The gift cards, though, may not be that actually complicated. Another thing here is that maybe there's something among donating in Bitcoin, but I don't know as much about that. So.
I don't know anything at all, really. Randy, did you have something you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, just to keep it simple. I mean, you could, and make it simple to explain, is creating a peer-to-peer fundraising fund, basically, but specifically more for these effective charities. Where it's easy to explain, but then the end product is actually going, or the end donations are actually going to these effective charities. So more or less a clone of that would be one way of approaching that, and that's actually something I'm seeking funding for right now, just because I'm too strapped to develop it. The other instances is that if you want to get more complicated, you could also just do the transaction processing and reconciliation for backends of how donations and how accounts work for banks and stuff like that. Do something similar, but do it on the donation front. More or less, that's what I have to do for my donor advice fund, is I have to reconcile individual accounts with these corporate accounts or these charity accounts. So if you want to do something a lot more complicated, you'd go something along those lines. It's kind of an emulation of a bank account, but donor advised funds, which are charitable basis. Just two random ideas.
Right.
I could probably come up with more for you. Some payroll processing too. Do payroll processing with charitable donations. But I mean, this all gets really complicated. So.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I'm not sure how easily that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure how easily that falls within the scope of just like web development as opposed to, like especially payment processing stuff. Sounds like it has a lot of different moving parts.
I can help with it though, because that's what I've been working on. So I mean, if people wanted some guidance on it, I could help with it. But I mean, I don't know how much time I have to guide. But
do you have? Can you give me an? Sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, can you give me a name of like, initially you mentioned like a P2P fundraising donation tool. What is a good model website to think of in that case?
Pretty much any of them are pretty generic. So you have like CauseVox, you have Classy, you have a few other ones. But you just look up peer-to-peer fundraisers, and they all basically have the same functionality. They all take about a 5% cut out of it. There's nothing really special to them, but they're all very general. The nice thing is that, like, if we had a peer-to-peer fundraiser where a charity could actually sponsor it in a country, so like in the US, I'd be happy to sponsor it, all your donations would then be tax deductible. Versus how they are today, you run these fundraisers and your donations aren't tax deductible for the most part, unless you have some charity sponsoring it. So having something, basically, it can be what is available today as an easy way to explain the project, but the specific use case would be having it for EA type things. There would also be some additional functionality where we want to have proof that you would have made this donation. Well, if you would have made this donation anyway, we can't count influence that this campaign really changed the total donations in general. And so actually understanding and having some analytics behind it of understanding that these peer-to-peer fundraising, are they really growing our impact and bringing more people in the EA movement and giving to effective organizations, or are they really just an echo chamber where effective altruists are giving to each other money that they would have given to effective organizations anyway?
Right.
So having some analytics behind it and stuff like that would also be cool.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, this is all really helpful. Thanks, guys. I'll definitely type in again during the next meeting. I think when it's closer to actual beginning of our projects, and or maybe I'll just post in the group and let you guys know where I'm at.
How are you enjoying the academy so far?
It's really intense, man. It's like 80 plus hours a week. I'm basically there from like. Yeah, I'm there 7 days a week, like at least 8 hours a day, even on the weekends. So it's pretty brutal, but it's fun. Like I'm doing really well.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but there's definitely a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if there's anything that we can help you out with here, like the people that have some technical backgrounds. Like, is there any specific places you're struggling with?
No, not really. I mean, I'm close to the top of the class. It's really just a matter of like. Just grinding the hours and just like getting acquainted with the different things, you know. So I appreciate the offer though, but I think it's just like I just gotta spend time working on stuff. That's all there is to it, I think.
And how's Radical Giving going?
So I was talking actually with Alex and Tom about this, and that I as much as like I know that you guys at Impact have been really pushing me to like launch an MVP even before I finish with App Academy. And I was really planning to do that until I started App Academy, and then I realized that I don't have any time. Like it's so thin that basically I feel like a launch right now would just be so badly. It would just go badly. I just wouldn't have enough time to do it. I don't even have enough time to respond to like emails and Facebook messages. So right now my plan is basically in the little free time that I have, I'm trying to keep talking to other people who are earning to give and sort of like building more. Connections with people who are in the Earning to Give movement, but my goal is really like once I get a job, once App Academy settles down, so like past week 10, it's a 12-week program, I know that from talking to people who've been through it, past week 10 it slows down a lot, so it becomes more like about the job search, and the point at which it's about the job search, then I have plenty of time to sort of like work on side projects and not just constantly like under this continual deluge of work and homework and projects that I have to finish. So yeah, once I think week 10 rolls around, I'm going to try to start getting back in, redesigning the site, and then I'm going to try to launch. And hopefully I'll launch within, my guess would be something around a month after App Academy, but I'm still going to have to be like focusing on job search, finding a place to move, studying data structures and algorithms. So it's like there'll still be a lot of stuff going on, but I'll have places where I can shove in into the gaps. App Academy. That's one of the reasons why, like, I think on my final project, I do want to try to do something useful with that time, because it does seem like one of the few places where it can be effective while still App Academy and stuff.
That's really cool to see.
Yeah,
why
thank
can't- Is there any way that you can get somebody else to develop Radical Givers for you? Like, I assume that you probably don't want to do Radical Givers like website as your project, but could you persuade one of your
Oh,
workers
no.
or one of your classmates to do it?
The thing is, like, for the website, it's mostly just copywriting. It's just like copywriting design. The website itself really needs almost nothing. But I completely want to redo the copywriting and the design, and I've gotten tons and tons of feedback from showing it to lots of people now that I have a clear idea of like what I want it to ultimately look like. But there's pretty much nobody who I feel like I could depend on or trust, except maybe one person, but she's extremely busy, to like write the copy that like would be suitable for the final version, right? So that's really the biggest whatchamacallit, roadblock or whatever. Is just like the creative side of the content, not the actual functionality side. Because the functionality side, again, like we talked about before, is totally ancillary. Like that stuff can come later. It's more about like getting the branding right and getting the message right. That I think matters a lot, especially when you're starting out. So those are my thoughts on Radical Givers. But I'm going to try to do what I can, like I said, once App Academy winds down.
Congrats.
Yeah, so
there's nothing I
anything...
congratulate you for yet, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just curious if you were done or if there's anything else.
Yeah, I'm done. Go ahead.
Alright.
I can mention regarding the charity gift cards. Someone said they should have a term, for example, like 3 months in which you'd have to donate it, and if they don't, there should be just some default option where the money goes, whether back to the person or the person could choose the default option where it goes.
I guess my guess is that, like, in the beginning you make it very simple. So, like, there wouldn't be, like, the person wouldn't get to choose what the default option would be. Instead, it would just go to GiveWell. But once you could add the functionality, then it would be nice. Like, it would definitely be a nice feature. It just would be additional, like, programming and stuff. So.
Alright.
I definitely feel like you need a default, because otherwise you'll have to only charge people once the person actually decides, which will complicate things.
I'd say split by GiveWell recommendations is a reasonable default. Like, it's places that we know too good. And yeah, if that could be added so it's changeable by the buyer, that would be fine as well. But as a kind of initial setup, my vote goes to GiveWell.
So another question is, so this doesn't exist on the .impact project pad, right? Someone should add this idea. I have never done so
It'll be a good opportunity for you to learn. It's pretty simple. You just have to,
log in and then
make
type.
a page and then write down what you just set up with us.
Okay. So I can do that as well. Are there any deadlines people set when they take up an action point? Is there like a community rule you have to finish in a week, or I don't know?
We haven't done that yet.
Okay.
But maybe that would be a good idea. I mean, in general, we try to. So we definitely do say, like, every so often we say, like, look, this is what I intend to get done by the next meeting. That's typically the thing. But like within 2 weeks, you intend to do X. That's typically done up to you. So if you want to set something now and say, like, I expect to do X, then that's important. It becomes a lot more important to do something like that when there are a lot of other people who are working with you. Like if it's just you for now, and this is in the beginning stage, then it's a lot less, it's not like incredibly practical and like forceful that you need to do that. It would just be an encouraging thing. So it's kind of up to you if you want to set standards.
I'd say next meeting is good.
Okay, great. Wait, for what? What's going to be the next meeting?
When's going to be the next .impact meeting?
No, I mean, what are you going to have by the next impact meeting? The next impact meeting will be in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, I want to create a .impact project pad thread outlining the idea and some of the points we discussed this meeting, and also to ask around the EA Global Forum Facebook group how many people would like this idea, what are their thoughts, etc.
Oh, that sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Cool. So anything else?
I'm good.
Well, good job, team. I think that was definitely a long discussion where you got a lot done. So exciting. I'm gonna head out, but great talking, and looking forward to seeing what happens by the next meeting.
Great, see ya.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Have a good night.
Actually, one question. We do have this, like this is all being recorded. We could put it on YouTube for other .impact people to see. Would you guys mind that? Okay. I'll post it on, I'll post the idea about it on Facebook just to see if people have any arguments. So, yeah. I think getting everyone of the 11 people to say explicitly yes would be tough, but just making it obvious, setting to all of them.
A lot.
Yeah.
Not all the people who are silent.
Well, I mean, like, we could forward to all of them and give them, like, a few days.
A chance to object if they have an objection.
That's right.
That sounds fine to me.
Awesome. Great. See you guys.